Hello, welcome to this new video. My name is Martina Vincenzi and I am the founder of the VIP Flight Attendant Academy Private Jet Coach. Today I would like to answer to the question of Caspar, who asked me if I could give a sort of a flight attendant checklist in order to have a better understanding of what are the sequence of action that you are required to do when you work on a private jet. Now, I would like to start by saying that every company has their own specific, obviously, but I can give you a general overlook of how does it look like how many tasks you are required to do, okay? So, starting from the very beginning, I will go on a temporary line so you can follow me step by step. Usually we meet before the flight 2 hours before takeoff. This is not a fixed time. This is actually quite flexible. The whole crew decides together when they want to be at the airport before takeoff. As soon as we arrive at the airport, the pilots will complete their tasks by collecting all the paperwork that they need, and I also speak with the ground staff, arranging whatever service I need from them. And then we all together go to the jet. Once we arrive at the jet, the first thing that I do is to stow my personal belongings. If there is a dedicated space, very well, very good, I'm gonna stow them over there. Otherwise, I just try to find a suitable space for my cabin bag and for my purse. By cabin bag, I mean like a slightly bigger bag, so not really a trolley, okay? Something much smaller. For example, my cabin bag is a long jump. So something that it doesn't really occupy that much space. Then I keep my phone with me, okay? My phone must be on and at a high volume so that I can actually hear when somebody is calling me, because I must be reachable at all times. When I am on duty, my phone stays with me at all times. For example, I have this kind of a bracelet on my phone, so I can hang it on my arm and having that with me all the time, but my hands are free. I find this quite useful because it's really very important that your phone is with you. Who can call you? Anyone. The office, your flight attendant manager, the PA of the customer, the broker, the captain. You know, if the captain for some reason is not with you, he might need to tell you or the pilot or the other pilot something, and therefore obviously they're gonna call you. If you have a company phone, I will be talking about the company phone. If you are a freelancer, you don't have any company phone, so then it will be your personal phone. Anyway, you keep it with you all the time. Then I go for a emergency equipment check. So I have a look around and I make myself familiar with the emergency equipment. Usually I do that from forward to aft. And then as soon as I've reached the end of the cabin, I do a cleaning check on my way back. Private jets can be extremely dusty. So even if the jet didn't fly for a couple of days and it was just closed, parked by the airport, they can be covered in dust. So a cleaning check is actually something quite important to do, just to make sure that all horizontal and vertical surfaces are absolutely spotless. So I do my cleaning check, then usually 1.5 hours before takeoff, we receive catering. So I stow my catering, I prepare my welcoming service for my customers, I receive also the newspapers, so I prepare a display of magazine and newspapers, my flowers for the flower decoration in the cabin and in the lavatory. And then I continue starting pre-plating my service, okay, getting my service ready. For example, maybe I preheat the oven or I pre-plate, I don't know, the butter, for example, salads, starters, whatever. I start to get ready so that I can save time during the service. Usually minus 15, minus 20 minutes before takeoff, the customers arrive. We board the customers. As soon as they are on board, we close the door, we give them the safety briefing, and then we are ready to take off. When I have my customers on board, the first thing that I do is collect the coats, in particular in wintertime, because they can be quite bulky. So I take them all and I hang them inside the wardrobe. Then I will give out the hot towels that I have prepared. Obviously, they are in the galley. I give out the hot towels. I collect the hot towels. If they are disposable towels, throw them away. If you need actually to keep them and get them washed, I will put them inside the laundry bag. Then if time is available, depends how long is the taxi time before we actually reach the runway, I will offer them a drink, a welcome drink, if I haven't done it earlier already with the welcoming, or water, for example. And then as soon as the engines are on, I start prepare the cabin for takeoff. Preparing the cabin for takeoff means that I have to clear the emergency exit. I have to clear the aisle, and the galley area must be absolutely free and all the cupboards closed. As soon as the cabin is secured, I go to my pilots, I give thumbs up, cabin is secured, and then I sit down. Just a reminder, in the majority of the private jet, there is no cockpit door. So the pilots can have a look at the cabin just by turning their head and look behind them, okay? I sit down and then we take off. As soon as we have reached 10 or 12,000 feet, it depends on the procedures. Different companies have different procedures. Anyway, as soon as we have reached the cruise altitude, the pilots will switch off the fasten seatbelt sign. That's the message for me, clear for duty. So I can stand up and conduct my service. Obviously, I will conduct my service according to customer's profile. So their age, religion, tradition, culture, and so on and so forth, okay? You adapt the service to the customer. It's not the customer who will adapt themselves to the service that you provide. So you have to be very, very flexible in this way, okay? And be very mindful in reading your cabin in order to understand what do they want, what do they need, how do they like things to be done. And you adapt. So you conduct your service. As soon as the customers are, all set, you assist the pilots as well. So you ask them if they need anything to eat or to drink. Usually I try to do that in several steps so that they don't have to wait for me for like 3 hours before eating something. I can, maybe just hand out some sandwiches, for example, obviously giving them a bottle of water so they have something to drink as well. So I try to keep them fed as often as possible. However, in order to properly serve them a meal, I have to wait until the customers are fully set. Then assuming that you have only one service, of course, and then I eat as well. Then assuming that we have only one service during this flight, whenever, when the customers are set and the pilots are also fed, we probably have reached nearly the end of the flight. Minus 30 minutes to landing is for you top of descent. You can feel it because the asset of the jet will change and you start facing down, okay? That's a message for you to start preparing the cabin for landing, okay? So clear the tables if you haven't done this before. Set up the cabin again for landing. Trying to, do all those steps that will help you to eventually prepare the cabin quicker in case we receive a shortcut. And shortcuts are happening very, very often. So you start preparing the cabin. Usually when we are about 10 minutes to landing, the pilots will switch on again the fasten seatbelt sign. That's a message for you. Cabin must be secured for landing. So you do the same as for takeoff. You secure the cabin by clearing the emergency window, the emergency exits, clear the aisle, get the cabin all set, and get also the galley empty and with the cupboard closed. You give thumbs up to your pilots, the cabin is secured, and then you sit down. As soon as the aircraft vacates the runway, you are safe to stand up. So I will eventually stand up. I will go to the wardrobe, collect all the coats and deliver them to the owners. I go back to the galley and I set up a goodbye display. By goodbye display, I mean maybe just a flower to decorate the galley, or maybe a box of chocolates, or maybe a tray with some chewing gums or candies or whatever I have. I just, you know, I go creative in this way. And yeah, I prepare my setup for the goodbye display, and then as soon as we have reached the parking position, the pilots will switch off the engines, and then they will open the door. And as soon as the door is open, unless the customers and the crew as well, we have to go through customs or immigration clearance. If there is no immigration clearance, they can go as soon as the door is open. Okay, you will see that the ramp agents, the ground staff is over there waiting for you. So you let them go. Thank you, goodbye. If there is any immigration clearance that needs to be done, so passport check that needs to be performed, usually it's the officer who comes on board and checks everybody's passport, including pets, if applicable. As soon as the immigration officer is happy, you can let them go, obviously, and again, wishing them goodbye, a good continuation of the day, or whatever else. I hope this can clarify a little bit. Again, every company has a different procedures, obviously, but this is, let's say, on a very general note, how does it work? So when you do what? Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll see you on the next video. Baci baci!